The Shadow Master Within by David Russo. Master the shadow within. Find your center. Master yourself. Introduction. Most people don't struggle because they are weak. They struggle because they are divided. Part of you wants growth. Another part wants comfort. Part of you wants integrity. Another craves relief. And no one ever taught you how to lead that internal conflict. So you suppress. You ignore. You try to silence parts of yourself that don't fit the version of you the world accepts. But suppression doesn't create strength, it fractures it. When I talk about the shadow, I'm not talking about anything mystical. I'm talking about the parts of you that learn to adapt quietly. Your anger, your fear, your ambition, your desire, your instinct for power. Those parts didn't disappear when you grew up. They stayed. Watching. Waiting. This audiobook is not about eliminating them. It's about taking responsibility for them. The Shadow Master is not something you find. It's a role. You step into the role of the one who notices instead of reacts, who chooses instead of avoids, who leads instead of suppresses. Listen slowly, paused when something lands. Nothing here requires belief, only honesty. Nothing here asks you to become someone else, only to become whole. Because the truth is simple. The moment you stop pretending you don't feel certain things, the moment you stop trying to erase parts of yourself, the moment you stop fighting yourself, you stop leaking energy. You stop being divided. You step into authority over your own life. Your shadow was never your enemy. It was waiting for leadership, and now it's waiting for you. Chapter 1. The part of you that never left. There is a part of you that has been watching your entire life. It watched when you learned which emotions were acceptable and which were not. It stayed quiet when you were praised for being agreeable, polite, or easy. It noticed when you swallowed your truth to keep the peace. And it learned very early that survival sometimes means hiding. That part didn't disappear. It went underground. Your shadow is not evil. It is not broken. It is not the part of you to fear. It is simply the part of you that adapted faster than your conscience. It holds your anger, your fear, your hunger, your ambition, your instincts for power. It remembers what you are not allowed to say out loud. Ignoring it doesn't make you good. It makes you divided. And division is exhausting. It leaks energy, clouds judgment, and steals your confidence. You may feel calm on the outside, but inside, your shadow is quietly carrying the weight of everything you won't allow yourself to feel. This chapter is about noticing it, naming it, meeting it. Because the first step to mastery is acknowledgement. The first act of leadership is showing up for the parts of yourself you have ignored. You are not called to erase your shadow. You are called to integrate it, to give it structure, purpose, and guidance. When you stop running from it, something remarkable happens. Your energy stops leaking. Your decisions become clearer. Your presence becomes heavier, steadier. The shadow was never your enemy. It was waiting for a leader, and that leader is you. Chapter 2. Why suppression makes you weak. You were taught that strength meant control, but what you actually learned was suppression. You learned to hide your anger, to silence your fear, to push your desires into the shadows, and for a while, it seemed to work. You kept the peace. You avoided conflict. You appeared disciplined. But the truth is, suppression doesn't create strength. It creates fracture. Suppression leaks. It turns into passive aggression, exhaustion, procrastination, and quiet resentment. You tell yourself you're calm, but your body says otherwise. You tell yourself you're disciplined, but your actions avoid the mirror. The parts of you you ignore don't disappear. They wait, and when they finally emerge, it's often without your consent. And when they do, they surprise you, and sometimes even hurt you, because you've been neglecting them. True strength is not the absence of darkness. It is command over it. It is the ability to feel without being ruled, to acknowledge without being overwhelmed, to harness what once controlled you. Every moment you pretend you don't feel something, you give away your power. Every emotion you deny is energy that leaks into your life unnoticed. But here's the truth. The shadow doesn't want to sabotage you. It wants to be led. It wants to be seen. It wants to know you are in charge. The moment you stop pretending you don't feel certain things, the moment you stop trying to erase parts of yourself. Leadership is strength, and it begins with noticing what you been. A warning to stop, a guide, a compass pointing toward growth. Your fear shows the edges of your comfort. It highlights what matters. It sharpens awareness. It whispers where life is waiting for you to step forward. When you ignore fear, it mutates into anxiety. It becomes the restless energy that clouds your mind, saps your focus, and steals your confidence. It becomes hesitation disguised as caution. But when you listen, when you truly pay attention, fear transforms. It becomes precision. It becomes presence. It becomes a tool to navigate challenges instead of a chain that holds you back. Your shadow knows fear intimately. It has survived every version of you, every mistake, every failure, every misstep. It carries wisdom that your conscious mind often dismisses. When you stop treating fear as an enemy, when you stop running from it, you start choosing. You start moving forward with clarity. Fear does not disappear. It does not vanish when you wish it away, but it does obey leadership. It becomes disciplined. It becomes aligned. The moment you stop fearing your fear, something remarkable happens. You stop reacting, and the first act of mastery is learning to read it, understand it, and use it. Chapter 4. Anger is boundaries made visible. Anger is clarity. It shows you where a line has been crossed by others or by yourself. It signals what is unacceptable. It is not a flaw. It is information. Most of us were taught to feel ashamed of anger. We were told to hide it, to suppress Italiano, to smile through it. And so we buried it deep. But buried anger doesn't disappear. It turns inward. It mutates into resentment, exhaustion, passive aggression. It quietly erodes your energy. It quietly undermines your confidence. Your shadow carries that anger because no one ever taught you how to hold it properly. And that doesn't make it dangerous. It makes it unused power. When acknowledged, anger becomes strength. It becomes assertiveness. It becomes the ability to say no without apology, and yes, without fear. It becomes protection. It becomes presence. The shadow respects clarity. It respects honesty. It respects someone who can feel fully and respond wisely. Every time you deny your anger, you give away your authority. Every time you run from it, you leave a part of yourself unchecked. But when you accept it, when you name it, when you channel it, it transforms from chaos into guidance, from reaction into choice, from noise into signal. Anger is not something to fear. It is a teacher, a messenger, a boundary made visible. Your job is not to eradicate it. Your job is to listen, to lead, to give it direction, so it serves you instead of controlling you. When anger is mastered, the shadow relaxes. It begins to trust your leadership, and that trust changes everything. Chapter 5. Ego is not the enemy. You've been told to kill your ego, to quiet it, to shrink it, to see it as the source of all your problems. But that is a misunderstanding. Ego is not the enemy. It is your sense of self in motion. It is the part of you that knows who you are, what you value, and what you will not compromise. When ignored, the ego becomes fragile. It doubts itself. It fears judgment. It seeks approval. It whispers that you are never enough. When overindulged, it becomes loud, arrogant, demanding, distracted. It tries to prove itself through achievement, attention, or control. But when understood, ego becomes a compass, a quiet, steady guide that keeps your decisions aligned with your values. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It knows its direction, and it follows it without drama. Your shadow does not want to dominate others. It wants to matter. It wants recognition. It wants to ensure that the person you truly are is acknowledged, even when no one else is watching. Beneath that need, and the shadow will demand it in chaotic ways. Meet it, guide it, and it becomes loyal. It becomes energy directed, not wasted. It becomes purpose, not distraction. Ego, like fear, like anger, is a tool. It is a part of your inner world waiting for leadership. True mastery is not about destroying your ego. It is about understanding it, aligning it, leading it. When you do, it serves you instead of controlling you, and the shadow, finally, begins to trust you. Chapter 6. Desire reveals direction. Desire has been misunderstood. We are told to suppress it, to feel guilty for it, to treat it as something dangerous or selfish. But desire is information. It is not weakness. It is a compass pointing toward what energizes you, what motivates you, what makes life feel vivid. Ignored desire doesn't disappear. It mutates. It becomes distraction, compulsion, restlessness. It sneaks into your life in ways that leave you feeling frustrated, tired, or stuck. Your shadow holds your raw, unfiltered wanting, not to control you but to show you where life feels real, where your curiosity pulls, where your instincts urge you forward, where growth is waiting for you. Mastery is not abstinence. It is conscious choice. It is listening deeply, weighing wisely, and then acting deliberately. When you pay attention to desire, you learn something powerful. Not every desire needs to be acted on. Not every want is wise, but every desire is a signal, a direction, a map of what your nervous system responds to. The shadow trusts the leader who listens. It respects someone who acknowledges desire, then chooses carefully. It relaxes when it knows it will be hurt, but not allowed to run unchecked. Every time you act blindly on desire, you feed chaos. Every time you deny it completely, you create rebellion within yourself. But when you see it, feel it, and guide it, desire becomes a teacher. It becomes energy. It becomes a path forward. Desire is not your weakness. It is your compass. And the first act of mastery is learning to follow it wisely. Chapter 7. Discipline is self-respect in action. Discipline is often misunderstood. We are taught that it is punishment, a rigid rule, a force that constrains us. But real discipline is nothing like that. It is alignment. It is self-respect in motion. When discipline is forced, it collapses. When it comes from guilt, shame, or fear, it never lasts. It becomes a battle against your self, a war. You will eventually lose. But when discipline is rooted in self, something changes. It becomes sustainable. It becomes natural. It becomes the quiet authority that moves you forward without drama. Every promise you keep to yourself, no matter how small, teaches your shadow who is in charge Every time you follow through, you send a signal. I am trustworthy. I am consistent. I am in command of my life. The shadow responds to strength, not punishment. It respects consistency, not motivation. It relaxes when it knows you will act, even when it is difficult, even when it is inconvenient. Discipline is not about restriction. It is about freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from self-sabotage. Freedom to be the person you say you are, even when no one is watching. Each small act of discipline compounds. It builds authority within you. It teaches your shadow to cooperate instead of rebel. It creates a life where choices are deliberate, energy is preserved, and confidence grows quietly, steadily, inevitably. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action, and it is one of the most powerful tools you have to lead the shadow and lead yourself. Chapter 8. The inner dialogue that shapes your life. Listen to how you speak to yourself. Really listen. That voice in your head did not appear out of nowhere. It was learned, inherited, absorbed, practiced, and for most people, it is full of noise, criticism, doubt, worry, and old beliefs that no longer serve them. Most people do not realize they are in a constant negotiation with their shadow and your inner dialogue matters because it sets the rules. It decides who gets listened to and who gets silenced. It decides whether you feel capable, worthy, and alive or small, constrained, and anxious. You don't need a kinder voice. You need a clearer one. One that doesn't exaggerate. One that doesn't dramatize. One that speaks with authority instead of cruelty. One that tells the truth without shame. When your inner voice becomes steady, when it becomes consistent, firm, and aligned, your shadow begins to relax. It stops trying to control you. It stops acting out to get your attention. It begins to trust you. This is not about positive thinking. It is about honest leadership. It is about commanding the mind you inherited so it serves you, not sabotages you. Every word you say to yourself matters. Every thought you entertain either builds your internal hierarchy or tears it down. Take control of your inner dialogue. Speak with clarity, consistency, and authority. Lead yourself with the voice you were born to have. Because mastery is not about silencing the shadow. It is about commanding it and your words inside your own mandala. The first act of leadership. Chapter 9. Integrity when no one is watching. Integrity is not image. It is not applause. It is not the approval of others. Integrity is behavior in solitude. It is how you act when no one is looking, when no one can see your choices or judge your actions. The shadow is always watching. It knows when you cut corners. It knows when you betray yourself quietly. It knows when you say one thing but act another. Every small compromise weakens your internal hierarchy. Every time you ignore your own values, happen silently, your shadow loses trust in you. And without that trust, you are divided. You leak energy. You move through life with subtle hesitation, second-guessing yourself at every turn. Self-trust is built in silence. It is built when your actions match your values consistently, even when there is no reward, no recognition, no validation. This is where true confidence is born, not the flashy confidence that seeks attention, not the ego-driven confidence that demands acknowledgement, the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing without question that you are aligned, when your actions match your principles, when your word is your bond, when your promises to yourself are kept. Your shadow relaxes. It begins to follow instead of resist. Integrity is not about perfection. It is about alignment. It is about showing up for yourself in a way that leaves no room for inner conflict. And when integrity becomes habitual, it creates something rare. A calm, grounded certainty that doesn't need to prove itself. A steady presence that commands respect first from within, then from the world. Integrity is leadership. It is mastery. And it begins when no one is watching. Chapter 10. Becoming the Master. Mastery is not domination. It is not force. It is not control over others. Mastery is leadership. It is command over yourself. It is the ability to align every part of your inner world, your shadow, your desires, your fears, your anger, your ego, so they serve, not sabotage you. You don't eliminate the shadow. You integrate it. You give it structure. You give it purpose. You give it direction. When the shadow is trained, it becomes loyalty. It becomes energy you can rely on. It becomes strength without chaos. The moment you stop fighting yourself, the moment you stop leaking energy, the moment you stop reacting unconsciously to fear, anger, or desire, you step into mastery. Your choices become deliberate. Your presence becomes steady. Your actions begin to match your values consistently. Even when no one is watching, the shadow was never your enemy. It was waiting for a leader, and that leader is you. Every fear you acknowledge sharpens you. Every anger you understand protects you. Every desire you guide points you forward. Over time, the noise inside you fades, not because feelings disappear, but because they know who is in charge. You will still feel fear. You will still feel anger. You will still want things you shouldn't act on. The difference now is that they no longer decide for you. Mastery isn't dramatic. It is steady. It is quiet. It is deliberate. The shadow was never your enemy. It was waiting for leadership. And now you know how to provide it. Conclusion. Leadership begins within. If there's one thing I hope you take from this, it's this. You were never truly at war with yourself. You were without leadership. Most people spend their lives cycling between effort and collapse, discipline and burnout, control and regret. Not because they lack willpower, but because no one ever taught them how to lead their inner world. You don't win by silencing the shadow. You win by guiding it. When fear is acknowledged, it sharpens you. When anger is understood, it protects you. When desire is listened to, it points you forward. When your ego is aligned with your values, it becomes a compass. When your discipline is rooted in self-respect, it becomes sustainable. When your actions match your principles, your shadow begins to trust you. That trust is quiet, but it changes everything. Over time, the noise inside you fades. Not because feelings disappear, but because they know who is in charge. You will still feel fear. You will still feel anger. You will still want things you shouldn't act on. The difference now is that they no longer decide for you. Mastery is not flashy. It is not dramatic. It is steady. It is deliberate. It is calm authority over your inner world. The shadow was never your enemy. It was never meant to be a risk. It was waiting for leadership, and you'll know how to provide it. Step forward, lead yourself, become whole.